She walked into the VIP lounge with quiet confidence, but within minutes, strangers laughed at her. The staff dismissed her, and everyone assumed she didn't belong. What they didn't know was that this woman wasn't just another traveler, she was the most powerful person on that flight. And when the pilot arrived, one word from him left the entire room in stunned silence. Airports are full of stories, some of ambition, some of heartbreak, and some that reveal just how quickly people judge others by appearances. Today's story is about a woman who walked into a VIP lounge and was mocked, dismissed, and told she didn't belong. But moments later, the truth about her identity stunned everyone in the room and turned humiliation into the ultimate moment of respect. The airport buzzed with the usual chaos of travelers rushing to make their flights. Families clutched suitcases, business people tapped on their laptops, and announcements echoed across the terminal. Among the crowd walked a woman dressed in an elegant navy blue suit. Her posture was calm, her steps confident, but her presence immediately drew attention. She was a black woman traveling alone, carrying nothing more than a leather briefcase and a passport tucked neatly in her hand. When she approached the VIP lounge, the receptionist at the desk barely glanced up. "Excuse me, ma'am, this lounge is reserved for first-class travelers and exclusive guests," the young woman said curtly, as though assuming the stranger in front of her didn't belong. The traveler, unfazed, handed over her boarding pass. "I believe this will cover it." But before even checking, the receptionist frowned. "This section is for important members, executives, and government officials. Maybe try the waiting area down the hall." Her words carried a dismissive tone, and a few nearby passengers smirked, clearly entertained by the scene. The woman stood silently, refusing to let frustration show on her face. She had encountered this type of treatment before: quick assumptions, quiet judgments, and the constant questioning of whether she belonged. But before she could respond, a man in a sharp business suit whispered loudly enough for others to hear, "She must have wandered in here by mistake." A couple seated nearby chuckled. "Definitely not VIP material," one muttered. The receptionist's voice grew sharper. "Ma'am, I don't want to repeat myself. Please step aside, we have other guests to assist." The lounge grew tense. All eyes were on her, waiting for her to be escorted out. Yet she remained calm, her eyes steady, as though she knew something no one else in the room did. And then, everything changed. A tall man in a crisp pilot's uniform walked swiftly through the lounge doors. The gold stripes on his shoulders gleamed, and his cap was tucked neatly under his arm. He scanned the room until his eyes landed on the woman who had been denied entry. His face immediately softened into a respectful smile. "Madam President," he greeted warmly, his voice carrying authority that silenced the entire lounge. "We've been expecting you. Your seat on the aircraft is prepared, and the crew is honored to serve you today." The room froze. The receptionist's eyes widened, her face turning pale as she realized who she had just disrespected. The businessman who mocked her sank lower in his chair, avoiding her gaze. Whispered gasps filled the air. "Madam President? Could it be true?" The woman finally allowed a faint smile to appear. She nodded to the pilot with quiet grace and turned back to the stunned crowd. Without raising her voice, she said, "Respect should never depend on appearances. One day, I hope you'll remember that." No one dared to respond. The receptionist stumbled over her words, offering apologies, but the moment had already passed. The woman walked confidently beside the pilot, her presence commanding more respect and silence than any argument ever could. As the doors closed behind them, the lounge remained frozen in embarrassed silence. Those who had mocked her now sat in shame, realizing they had judged not just a woman, but a leader, a president. In that instant, the room learned a powerful lesson. Never assume someone's worth based on their appearance, because the person you dismiss might just be the one holding more power, influence, and dignity than you could ever imagine. And as the whispers spread through the terminal, one truth echoed louder than all the rest. They mocked her, but the pilot reminded everyone who she truly was. They mocked her, but one word from the pilot turned their laughter into silence. Never forget, respect the person before you, know their story.